We are going to begin this chore vending machine by starting with the very background, and I'm just going to fill in the entire purple space as one solid layer, and I'm using a little glue stick that has a flat lid just to press down any of the little bubbles or knobs that happen to pop up. That way the coins won't catch on those as they're trying to roll through there. Oh, if you're really careful about how you do this, you might not need to do this step of flattening it down as you go, but it is pretty hard to get it perfectly flat. And this is a very time-consuming step, but don't worry, just keep going, and you can try a couple different angles and patterns, whatever you want it to look like, as long as it's fairly flat so the coins roll through just fine. You can be a little bit creative as you go through this step. Here I am about halfway done. And now I've just finished that up. Right here I'm kind of experimenting with a different technique of laying a piece of parchment paper over it, and I'm going to grab just an iron, see if I can get that a little bit flatter. Like I said, you probably would be okay if you were careful and not getting too big of bumps in it as you were going along the first time. I'm just letting it cool down in as flat as possible. And I can just see that that warped my pattern just a little bit, but that's okay. The next step is to thicken up the edges only where those black lines were on the pattern. You can't see them anymore because I've covered them up. So try your best to remember where they were. It's really only on the bottom half, or the bottom 90% of the shape has the thicker edges, and those are basically the tracks where the coins will be able to roll down. And we're going to leave a little bit of a gap at the very bottom too for the coins to come out. I went in smaller stages, but if you have a really steady hand, you could do the full length as well. This is going to be the place where we insert the coins and write what chores need to be done on this little, it's going to basically be like a little clipboard piece. And I had some trouble getting that straight, so I just fixed it later. Pulling this big flat track off. We're going to repeat for 4 of these labels. The hole is so that you'll be able to see that the coin is in there and the chore still needs to be done. Here goes my third one. I decided to do a couple different colors to make them a little bit cuter. Over here I moved over to my, well, that was cooling. I moved over to my coin catcher. You're only going to need one of those. Just going to put it right at the end of the track so your coins will come out a little bit right there. And you need to thicken up the edges so that the coin doesn't just roll off of that as well onto the floor. I ended up having to make my edges way thicker than that. These need one little more piece of 3D filament down along the edge of that curved half so that the coin will stay put. And I'm holding it up about 1/4 of an inch off of the paper up along the flat side, and then just filling in the gaps along the curved side so that part is perfectly flat against the paper, but one side is up higher. And I'm just using that other little piece to help me hold it steady. And once I am ready, I'm going to put those up here at the top and just tack those on, one on each side. Sorry, you can't see this very well, but it's really simple. You just kind of hold it at an angle a little bit away from the track, and then put the 3D filament one on each side to hold it in place. And the 3D filament will act a little bit like a spring so that you can release the coins when you press on the tops of those. And once they're nice and cool, we're going to make the top part of our track, and this is basically the fence that holds all the coins in as they roll down so they don't just fall off the face of this. You're going to follow the white lines now for this part of the pattern. And I'm just putting those in a single layer. A pattern like this that is the same shape that repeats over and over again and it fits exactly together without gapping or overlapping itself is called a tessellation. And they are really fun little patterns to play around with. The one that I have here makes the surface look like it's got little 3D objects all over it, which I thought was cool, so that's why I chose this pattern. You actually could do any pattern that you want over this space, just as long as it holds the coins on. You could get a little creative here if you wanted. When that cools, while that's cooling, I'm just adding my coin catcher right to the bottom there and building up that edge so that the coins don't just fly off as they come down there, making a little fence that's even thicker. When that is done, I'm going to put that fence on there, and to hold it up high enough so that I don't have any coins that get stuck as they're trying to roll along, I put stacks of 3 coins on top of each other, and those will just all hold that top layer on just at a really even height so that I can go through and attach it with a 3D pen. I'm going to go over every edge that needs to be tacked down. Don't attach it on the top where the coins need to fall through. Here they all come. Got all my coins out. And I'm going to do a quick test to make sure it's working. Dropping the coin in that top slot. And there it goes. Couldn't see it very well, but it worked really well. Now I'm just adding a little bit of clear tape on top of that so I have a flat surface to write my chores down on. When I have those done, I put it up with a little bit of command strips. You drop the coins in the top, do your chores. As soon as you get your chores done, you can come back to your chore vending machine, push the button, and your coin will come down, and it's payday!